AITA for canceling the babysitter after my wife decided not to attend my work holiday party. My 38M work held our annual holiday party last Friday. It was held at one of those axe-throwing places which I had never done before, so I figured it would be pretty fun. My wife, 36F, and I have 3 kids, 10, 8, and 5. So we don't get out of the house for dates very often. The holiday party was planned almost 2 months ago and my wife agreed to attend with me. I suggested we make it more of a date by either going out for drinks after the party or catching a late-night movie. She thought this was a good idea too. I also arranged for a babysitter to come watch the kids for that night. The day of the party, my wife got home from work and told me that she had a horrible day and was in a bad space mentally, so she didn't want to come to the party. I told her I was disappointed, but I understand if she wants to stay home. As I was getting myself ready to head to the party, I called the babysitter and canceled. I apologized to her and offered to Venmo her an hour's worth of our agreed rate, $30. To compensate for the cancellation, and she agreed that was reasonable. As I was getting ready to leave, my wife asked when the babysitter was going to come. I kind of looked at her funny and told her I had just canceled the babysitter because she was no longer coming with me. She got mad at me and told me that I knew she had a bad day and was in a bad mental state and needed some time to herself. I told her that I had assumed none of that meant she was incapable of watching our kids and that I didn't think having the babysitter come when my wife was still home made any sense at all. She told me to call her back and see if she could still come watch the kids, and I told her that if she wanted to do that she can do it, but I'm not going to. She tried to argue with me about it, but I told her that I had to leave for the party. While I was at the party, she sent me multiple texts about how the kids were driving her nuts and that the babysitter didn't answer her calls and she needed me to come home. She kept blowing up my phone and I eventually left the party over an hour early to go home. When I got there, she kept arguing with me about how I was an AH for canceling the babysitter when I knew she had a rough day. I told her I was not going to pay a babysitter just so that my wife can rest after a bad day. I told her she could have just thrown a movie on for the kids and relaxed. I told her she was the one who ruined our potential night out and that having a bad day at work is not a good enough reason to pay a babysitter $150,200. She still thinks I was an AH for canceling the babysitter without talking to her first, and she's still mad at me for it. But I don't think that was an unreasonable assumption to make, considering that there have been plenty of times when I've had a bad day and I am still 100% capable of watching the kids by myself while my wife leaves the house. Edit. Hey everyone, can we cool it with the purely speculative cheating angle? My wife goes to yoga class with 5 other moms from our neighborhood. So, unless they are all stepping out on their husbands or all in cahoots together, she's not cheating. Our neighborhood isn't a reality TV show and real life isn't like that. She's an introvert, and when she gets to her social limit, she doesn't want to go out. It's happened before, which is why I didn't push her to come out with me. NTA. No sane person's going to spend $200 for a babysitter when a parent is actually home. She didn't have to take care of the kids. Based on their ages, she could have made it a movie night or put their favorite shows on while she relaxed. My guess is she had other plans she didn't want you to know about and got upset because you canceled the babysitter, which is super reasonable thing to do since she's staying home. The fact she got so heated about it is odd. Who makes plans for a date night at a work party, then decide last minute not to go because they had a bad day? That's pretty rude. The fact she just assumed you'd keep the babysitter despite your plans changing is weird and should be talked about. For all the parents and/or folks who aren't independently wealthy. Responding YTA. Please ask yourself this. When was the last time, after having a rough day at work, you decided that was a good reason to spend $150, $200 on a babysitter? So you could stay home with your kids and the sitter? What? Never? Then STFU. Of course opt the person who made all the arrangements for their long-planned and much-anticipated date canceled the sitter, because he hired her based on the fact that no parent was going to be home with the kids. Now that one of the kids' parents was going to be home and never suggested they needed the help a sitter with their own children, why on earth would he throw away $150 minutes? That cash can be put towards a sitter when they are both able to go out. NTA. NTA. Why pay for a babysitter if she's home? They're old enough to entertain themselves. If mom says, "Guys, I'm too tired to be running around tonight dealing with messes. If I order pizza and put a movie on, you have to promise to be quiet and leave me alone." Basically, she's allowed to act like an adult and reason with her kids. $200 for a babysitter and she has the guts to bitch at you when she canceled something you were looking forward to. Last minute? She's tough. NTA. I know 0 parents that get a $200 per night babysitter for a bad day. Source. I'm a parent that knows lots of parents. NTA. Seems odd that she's so upset over you canceling the babysitter. Sounds like she made other plans that got derailed when she had to stay home with the kids. What puts it into NTA for me is the fact that you are able to watch them when you have bad days. How often do you have date nights or time by yourself and herself respectively? To all the people calling the op in AH. I have personally never heard of anyone hiring a babysitter while they were home because they had a bad day at work. Is this something people do? NTA. I had terrible days at work. That did not mean I needed a day off from my children and spouse. If that was your wife's expectation, she should have clarified herself and articulated clearly her expectations and needs. NTA. I think wife was looking for an excuse to get out of the party and have downtime. It's just extremely convenient she had this terrible day on what was supposed to be a date night but instead wanted to stay home and still hire the babysitter. But if you love your wife and value your relationship, you need to talk to her about actually getting some downtime in without needing to play games. You need to make it a reality and vice versa. NTA. She should have told you to keep the babysitter. She made the poor assumption. Further, if she wanted to stay home and relax, she could pay the sitter herself. This is a problem she caused herself. NTA. At those kids' ages, his wife could have chucked on a movie, ordered pizza, and everyone could have a relaxing, stress-free evening. He had been looking forward to this evening for a couple of months. And I think it was unfair for her to derail the whole thing just because she'd had a bad day. That being said, I think he should have mentioned to the wife that he was canceling the babysitter. But given she was going to be at home anyway, that would have been a very expensive luxury unless she was seriously ill. NTA. Why spend money on a babysitter when one of you are home? Her workday was over, so it was time to leave it at work. Personally, I think she should have gone with you to your party. I would have taken her mind off the day and made things better. NTA. I can understand having a bad day. My kids are 8 and 9 and things can sometimes get crazy, but also, in other instances, ordering pizza and cuddling on the couch takes away all that stress from my day and actually improves my mental state. Also, I would feel incredibly uncomfortable if I had a sitter there to watch my kids while I relaxed in my room. I can see that she was frustrated when it initially happened, but I don't understand her continuing to be angry about it. In the morning she would have had to realize that her frustration and anger were due to her bad day, and not you canceling the sitter. Maybe just explain to her that you were looking forward to a date night and reschedule for another night when you both are ready. It seems important that you still do the date night together. NTA. She made other plans and you just messed them up. NTA. If she wanted the sitter to still come, she should have explicitly stated that. You made the reasonable assumption that if one parent is staying home, then a sitter is no longer necessary. I have a feeling if roles were reversed here, there'd be a lot fewer Redditors calling you an AH. NTA. As a mom, I feel like I can't just check out BC, I'm having a bad day. $200 could buy us groceries for a week and would feel wasteful. Having you leave early is super selfish on her part. NTA. Who in their right mind would pay to have someone watch their kids for the night when all you need to do is throw on a movie and then put them to bed like every other night? The wife is being unreasonable. NTA. But you probably could have thrown a "so I'm going to cancel the babysitter" communication in there, instead of just doing it. Although there's a chance that would have just started the "I've had a bad day, so I want to keep the babysitter" argument earlier. NTA. She needs to grow up. Or at the very least communicate better. I mean, let's be honest, if the roles were reversed and the husband was begging off the party and still expecting the wife to keep the babysitter so he could decompress, 100% would think he was an AH. NTA. Being a parent is hard. Even when you have a bad day, you still have to take care of the kids. Spending $150,200 on a babysitter while one parent is home is ridiculous. Emo. A hard day at work isn't a good enough excuse to bail on a date night with your spouse. Hell, if I've had a hard day at work, I'd be thrilled to come home and have a date with my wife while somebody else watched the kids. She makes me feel better than any other person could.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.